Hi, love. Hello, and welcome to Co-Creative Healing Journey. Welcome. My name is Greta. I am a healer, and I am so happy to have you here today. So, hello to new subscribers. Those of you who have been joining recently, hello to old subscribers. I am just excited to have anyone and everyone watching this video here because we are starting a new theme in the ongoing healing process unfolding here on the channel. I hope that you are enjoying it. I hope that it is serving you, and I would love to hear your thoughts. If you would like to drop a comment to let me know how the process is working for you, how you're participating in it so far, right? So, if you want to share, I would love to hear it. That being said, today we are starting on a new theme. We are going to be talking about joyous creativity this week and next week. And then after that, we're going to do departure, which is going to be really sweet. It's one of my favorite themes. But before that, before we get to the departure, we are going to be talking about joyous creativity. And so to do that, I have my deck here, which is the Sacred Geometry Oracle by Lon. And I'm going to draw some cards and bring through messages from Spirit. So more specifically this week, we're going to be looking at joyous creativity in terms of intrinsic motivation, intrinsic valuing, doing things for their own sake, income, outcome independence, and so on. And so we're going to see how that all comes together. So that being said, we have an overall energy. Nope. We have an overall energy of transition. We have got tantric journey. Wow. Okay. And then we've got empowerment. Okay. Interesting. We've got an overall energy of transition, which says the frequency of transition supports our deep understanding of the ever changing nature of existence and our lives so that we can learn to let go, surrender to the process, and allow transition to occur with ease and grace. And I love this. This is coming through on so many levels. First level the Spirit wants us to hit is the notion of the spirit of the times, the zeitgeist, the times that we're in, joyous creativity, and moving into this much more intrinsic way of living where we do what we love, we do it because we want to, we live how we want to, we choose how we set up our lives, and how that is something that so many of us are not just aspiring to at this time, as we probably have for a long time, hundreds, thousands of years, right? But then had all the social controls in place to make so sure that that wasn't likely to happen. But we are living in an age where those social controls, by and large, for a large number of people, have been weakened, or at least function in such a way that we now have many more openings to pursue this kind of intrinsic valuing of the self, valuing of our work lives, our relationships, our experiences in a large sense, really in every single area of life. There's our entertainment, there's our productivity, our hobbies, what we wear, what we eat. All of these elements come through where we have so much more leeway to choose what kind of lifestyle we're going to lead, right? So to put all of those elements into our lifestyle, and we're transitioning into an era where there's much more of an alternative definition and experience of what the lifestyle is as opposed to the status quo. For example, veganism. Another example is being child free for women or child free for men, and that is different, especially within the grand scheme of how child rearing has been seen throughout humanity, and then in this modern age with all these changes and all this stuff. It's just in the spirit of the times that there's a sort of awakening going on where we can wake up and see how things are unfolding again, how they've been unfolding for thousands of years, how they are unfolding now in this modern age, in our countries, in our cultures, in our religions, and all of the stuff that we've inherited that is more collective energy in the background. We get to step into the foreground and we get to create the kind of life we want to lead, and hence the notion of joyous creativity. So this is very specifically Spirit wanting to talk about joyous creativity, and it says the frequency of tantric journey helps us to unlock the hidden knowledge and wisdom that we intrinsically hold about how to reach a state of wholeness and completion through our sensual experiences with ourselves and with one another. And it says intrinsic, right? That's what we're talking, what we intrinsically hold. And when this card came out, I thought, okay, tantric journey, that's a weird way to take a Spirit, but Spirit is taking it because the word is there literally. It's in the cards, it's in the energy, it's what we are living, and also the tools that we're using, right, to get where we want to go. It's in the tools, it's in the technologies, it's in the ideologies, it's in the mediums, it's in the times, and we have the opportunity to avail ourselves of it so much more than before. And I'm seeing, for example, a video where I just saw the title about a woman who was talking about how she had three pregnancies in her late 40s. And I was like, what? And next to it, there was a picture of a doctor talking about pregnancy in your 30s, in your 40s, in your 50s. And again, what? But those are the times that we're living in. The ways in which we can have certain experiences is now much more a journey rather than it is a necessary path. So there was a path that said, you start becoming fertile in your teen years, and then you stop being fertile in your late 30s, 40s, whatever. And that's how, when you can have a child, for example. But if that opens up for various reasons, including technology, of course, but also having more access to healthcare, eating differently, having a different level of health at an individual level, when those things open up and can unfold in a different way, then it's not just a set path that says A, B, C, D. There is a journey that can unfold, that can arise. And the process, or the concept of joyous creativity, is for each and every single one of us to look at our lives in that sense and say, okay, my life is a journey, and I can now make my life into what I want it to be. And spirit is coming in to say, yes, what you want it to be, but you want it to be a reveal, an expression of the intrinsic parts of you, who you truly are, your spirit, your soul. And this card does talk about allowance, and that's not something to create, it's not something to force, it's not something to figure out, do I want to have kids there or then, da 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 da. It's just about being yourself and regressing, kind of, yeah, to that intrinsic self, beyond civilization, beyond conditioning, beyond what other people are doing, beyond the status quo, beyond all of those dynamics, and reverting to a much more innate, authentic, and intrinsic experience of the self. And from that space is the only space that can allow intrinsic experiences to then follow. Meaning, if you do things because they're true of you, they're a part of you, they're you wanting to express yourself in the world, they're you wanting you to move into the world and be all you can be and experience all that you can experience, and even just at a most basic level, what you want to experience. That sounds cool. That sounds amazing. Hey, I'll try that. Oh, that didn't work out. Whatever. You just wanted it, right? If you want to go out into the world and have those kinds of experiences, it's only going to work if you're pursuing them for intrinsic motivations, because it's who I am, because it's true to me, because it's where I want to go, because it's what I want to do, because it is, right? The ultimate validation and expression, or the explanation, there you go, when you go into the core of that explanation, it will always be, I am. It's my life. I'm alive. And therefore, I can. There's endless potential. And joyous creativity is this journey of exploring that potential and seeing where it's going to take you and following the path, right? But transforming that path into a journey. The path is the human life, but the journey is what we each individually choose to make of that path, of that life, of that existence that we all have, right? There's going to be one Greta. Let's not even go into like alternate universes and so on. But my soul is going to lead one lifetime as Greta. And that is unique, and that is precious, and that is profound. And that is something that has intrinsic value. So every single moment of my life that I spend being the truest version of Greta that I can possibly be, I, again, in the great sense, the I am of me, when I spend every single moment of Greta's life being all that I can possibly be, then that's the journey, and that's the chosen path, and that is the destiny. I would say the destiny of every single human being. And that, but it takes joyous creativity. It takes a different way of moving. It takes a different way of evolving. It takes releasing a lot of conditioning, especially at the level of what outcomes are, what do they look like, how this should be, timing, when, where, how, who's allowed to have a good life, who's allowed to enjoy themselves, who's allowed to reconnect to themselves, all of those stuff, all of those rules that have their purpose, they have their place, they have their value, absolutely. But it can never and must never transcend the space and the place of what is intrinsic, what is true, and what is authentic about you and I, right? And in that way, your true authentic journey will not be the same as my true authentic journey. It can't be, because we're unique. And so there could be overlap in how things manifest, in how the outcomes show up, and what they look like. But at the intrinsic level, in the essence of it, it will always be my I am and your I am. And when we revert to that, that's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way it's supposed to be. And that is this age and the spirit of the times that wants to offer that to us on a silver platter in co creation with spirit. Yay! So, that being said, we've got empowerment. Yeah. And it says the frequency of empowerment supports our ability to show up fully, beautiful, fully and completely, uniting us with others in the deep trust that we are all connected through the same source. Exactly. At the end of the day, as much as this potential is here, it's a potential that we have to take on, that we have to harvest, that we have to make good on, that we have to realize, that we have to express in the world. And so, as I always say, if it was easy, everybody would do it. If it was, on the lowest shelf, more people could reach it. But this is not something that is easy or simple to do, because it does go against fundamental conditioning, social conditioning. It goes against the status quo, mainstream, and in some areas, it goes against our systems in ways in which we have organized society. There are places in this world, and I feel like this happens really everywhere, but then the levels are going to be different. But if you choose someone who is not of your gender, someone who is of your gender, someone who is not of your social class, your religion, who is not of your ethnic group, and so on and so forth, there are all of these broader collective social level where it goes beyond conditioning, but it really is control patterns where you're going to be punished. You're going to find some kind of cost associated with following your true self in those conditions and in those circumstances. And so it requires a tremendous amount of power in order to realize this intrinsic journey, in order to follow joyous creativity, right? In order to create what's going to make you happy. And joyous creativity, by the way, is not just to create what's going to make you happy, but it's to create it joyously. So it is the way and the destination. And so even if you go out and you go, screw it, I'm going to do what I love, I'm going to be me, and I'm going to do what I love to do, and I'm going to follow that true path for myself. If you do that and you are in misery and stress and strain the whole way, even though you're getting those outcomes that is my chosen partner and my chosen lifestyle and my chosen job and so on and so forth, if it is not a joyous experience in and of itself, it isn't joyous creativity. And so the outcome and the destination are linked and they're connected, and that's why you need empowerment. You need empowerment in order to pursue those goals, to go to those spaces and those places, to be those things that you yourself aspire to be, and to do that in a way where you're not embedding yourself in the resistance and opposition dynamics, right? So again, imagine you're a social media influencer, right? You have an Instagram and you post for videos every single day. And that's how you earn your living. And that is a big departure from your family, let's say, where everybody was a doctor and everybody's looking down on you and you're doing this and blah, 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 blah. If every single time you press post and you're posting a video that talks about, I'm living my best life, screw you, unlike the simpletons, unlike the sheep, unlike this unjust society that treats us this way, blah, 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 you're focusing more energy and putting more energy into opposition and into expressing that you are acting in opposition than you are in the intrinsic experience of what it is. And Spirit wants us to know, I've said it on the channel, and one of my favorite topics, but it's to recognize that sometimes when we put energy into stepping away, we are not actually leaving the system. We're just part of the resistance to the system, right? So for us to go, screw you, I'm opposing all this, I'm gonna be me, and and put that energy, that oppositional energy into it, it's not new. That's how the system works. It just uses oppositional energy against your true self, to hold it down, to suppress it and repress it. It's the same kind of dynamic, right? The dynamic that says I'm going to come out of oppression can be exactly the same as the dynamic that says I'm going to put you in oppression. And that's what we need to transcend. And that's where the joyous creativity comes in. It really and truly is a different way to be, to do, to live, to create. And fundamentally, it's also something that each and every single one of us has to explore and discover for ourselves. We each have our own way that is going to work. And so joyous creativity is this huge playground without rules, without any set destination, without any promises. It's an emergent process. Let's go, let's explore. It's an adventure. Let's see how we can move. And the only goal, the only destination, and fundamentally the greatest gift is to be you, and fully and freely. Not you opposing, not you resisting, not you rejecting, not you suffering from either, not you taking it, not you being conditioned. It is really just you being you and showing up in the world. Hi, it's me. Hello. And again, yeah, it's an incredibly joyous vibration. It's an incredibly a joyous experience to have and to co-create for yourself. So my love, let's see where spirit wants to take this. I'm being told to actually remind you, I had a class in university when I was studying for my master's. I did an elective that was something like production, but it's an old issue within production and productivity, to look at intrinsic motivation, and then motivation where people are guided by a goal, right? Like a dangling carrot. And there are tons of studies that have been done for decades that society has yet to catch up on. But basically, studies would show that it's very easy to have a motivation that is that dangling carrot. Usually it's money. And then sometimes it could be time, which is a better motivator. Free time was a better motivator for workers than money. But it depends on the activity. And once you get beyond an activity that is basic and rote, where you're just doing the same thing over and over again, it's just repetition, then it's fine to receive money. Then the productivity increases as one would expect from being given more money to perform those basic rote tasks. But when it's a higher function, if it is something that is intellectual, something that is artistic, something that requires something from that deeper part of ourselves to come forward and to get to work, then the dangling carrot of money won't work as well, and productivity would not increase as one would expect or one would see when offering money for tasks that are more rote and basic and so on and so forth. Of course, not to say that labor, like physical labor, is any less valuable than mental or intellectual labor. It's more that it calls to different part of us, right? So physical labor, the body, boom, 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 boom. We know how to do that. But as soon as we go into the deeper parts of ourselves, studies show that we have a harder time translating how to bring that deeper part of ourselves into specific activities, and then valuing them, and then receiving validation from others on what it is that we're bringing to the table. So as soon as it's us, a simpler way of saying it, it's harder to sell. It's harder to sell. It's harder to put a number on it. It's harder also to be motivated and to want to give of our true selves in situations and circumstances that are very formatted and that operate with a very simple model of validation that, for example, says money, time. That's the value, right? And so when we look at that in the context of you and me and how we're leading our lives, then we come into a space and a place where the joyous creativity and the systems of organization, society, and how things are valued and how things are validated and how things are remunerated, certainly how we get money for it, but also just how we get feedback and how we get back for what we're putting in, that is going to get wonky, and that is not going to be an even model, and therefore we're going to need even more empowerment, even more strength, even more power, even more courage in order to walk that path, in order to co-create that more joyous journey. And so, with the two cards I pulled, we've got passion, of course, prosperity, beautiful, If we put them side by side, the message is very simple. For you watching this, for those of us watching it, we are living in a time where, at a soul level, we are being called into having experiences that are much more passionate, passion based, passion centered, and therefore also heart centered in order to create prosperity. So, if it's not passionate, if it's not something that we love, that we value, if it's not something that calls us into connection with the higher part of ourselves, we are going to not feel as prosperous when we are bringing it out into the world. So you may get a paycheck and you may get, let's say, views or validation or whatever kinds of currencies that we currently have in society. Those currencies may come in, those things may come in. But if it's not linked to you doing what you're passionate about, if you're not loving and valuing what you're doing, then you are not going to feel like it's prosperity, like it's success. It's going to feel somewhat lagging, somewhat lacking, yeah, lacking, and empty to a certain degree because the part of you just won't be fulfilled. Now, I didn't read the text, so let's do that. The frequency of passion reminds us that beneath every intense emotion lies the hidden gem of insight, balance, and calm. It assists us in finding the balance within this intensity, moving us from chaos to the calm of its core, where we can let its long lasting wisdom fill us up. Love this. This is very Aquarian energy, actually, because also Aquarius has Leo in the seventh house. The heart center, Leo rules the heart. So Aquarius does relate in the second house, not just to people in relationships, but how we relate. We are in our best space and place. The optimal Aquarian relating comes from the heart, through heart centered energy. And so, the other aspect that really brought me into the Aquarian energy is this notion where we're talking about passion, but it's not passion as we've seen it and as we know it, where it's messy and it's all about attachment and jealousy and dramatic. It's not the drama of passion. It's calm. It's at the core. And this is something that we need to shift into. That being passionate about something is not necessarily, again, that furious pursuit and the attachment and I gotta have it. It's much more an awareness of, oh, when I'm in my passion, I'm in better connection to the intrinsic part of me, the true part of me, and that is what I need to follow in order to have true happiness. This isn't going to be right for every single person on the planet. Some people are still in the dangling carrot mode of functioning, and that's what works for them. That's where they need to be. That's what they're doing, right? Everybody's on their own path, but your path and your journey is calling on you to live a much more passionate life. And it's come through tons of readings on this channel. I believe also some pick a card readings that I did back in the day. The spirit was talking about being passionate about yourself. It's not just passionate about this hobby or this calling or this pursuit. It's passionate about you, about yourself, about your life, about your moments. And again, those things that I was mentioning. What do you eat? What do you wear? Where do you go? Who do you spend your time with? What is your life made up of and filled up with, and for you to be passionate about those things also. And that when you do, when you're applying passion within every single area of your life, and there is no reason why you shouldn't do that, especially if you're applying the higher order level of passion that we're talking about, that is calm and connected to the core, when you're living from that space, then you can generate a true experience of prosperity. And that's kind of like the roadmap these days. So what does it say? It says the frequency of prosperity supports our feeling of well being by allowing the inclusion of everything that makes our body, mind, heart, soul, and spirit sing. It invites us to express ourselves in joy and celebration of the abundance and riches that the universe provides. Exactly. And this is really speaking to one common way in which we've set up our society and we work it, right? It's this notion that you have to work hard to succeed, or you have to work hard to get what it is that you want. And so it's very normal in our functioning and how we think about things to think, okay, I'm going to suffer now and I'm going to put in all this work and all this effort and I'm going to suffer. And then I'm going to get the outcome and then I'll be happy. But the outcome in that case is laced with this energy of unhappiness before, this energy of sacrifice, this energy of, a lower order aspect experience, right? And this is prosperity coming up at a lower level, saying, no, 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 I can still have the outcomes. I can still have those experiences. I can still create those things. But the way in which I'm going to get there is going to be one of joyous creativity. And when the way and the road and the outcome and the journey, when all of those things are made up of joyous creativity, then we are experiencing prosperity. And we know this, right? We see movie stars or reporters, people on the TV, athletes and things like that, people on the TV, and we see that they're living their dream. And in general, we see that anyone who's living their dream has made it, is prosperous. They're the like 0.001%, right? It's not just being rich, but they're fulfilled by having the kind of life that they want to lead. And so we see that and we think of that as prosperity. And again, those people might be working 80-hour weeks and they don't see their family and they don't, which more people value more or less, but they're not connected to the self. They're not walking an intrinsic path. They're not in their authentic truth and so on and so forth. And so in the new energy, in the new modeling, it wouldn't be prosperity. And again, everybody has their path, has their journey. It's about you. It's about what's right and true for you. And Spirit is letting you know that with these shifts that we've been having, vibrational shifts, energy shifts, you are living in a different reality, my love. And what you need now to prosper, to really come into your own, is going to be a process that is much more authentic, much truer, much more aligned. And joyous creativity is essential to that. It just is essential to it. It's like oxygen to the spirit. You need that joyous creativity, that free flow of life force. And you're in a time of your life now where you're being called on from within to realize that much more, to embody it much more, to be it, to do it, to live it, to create joyous creativity. So, my love, that was the reading. Those were the messages that I have here and now for you. I hope that you enjoyed this reading. I hope that it served you. And I would love to hear what you think about it. Again, if you would like to share, I would like to hear it. And sharing is caring. So thank you for that in advance. Sending you lots of love, wishing you all the best. And I will be seeing you around. Bye.